Just for that shot. That was sick. That was sick. Welcome back to the channel. Pilot Ryan here with another new one for you. Now, some of you recognize this one as it was a larger plane at 59-inch wingspan. Now, this super scale RC model of an air tractor has been released in ultra micro size. Guys, I'm gonna throw in some B-roll of the really cool wire suspension on the horizontal. It's got lights all over it. The wheels and the landing gear are super rigid. I really like that, the way they've been made. And the axles are bolts. So you guys that wanna play with different tires, you absolutely can. I've got mine bound up to an NX10. The manual has real clear instructions for how to set this up with the DX radio. That means guys with the DXS radio can work it out. So good for somebody who's new to the hobby. And also IX and NX. Again, I'm on the NX10, set this up by the book, 100% full rate with 10% expo, and low rates 70 with 5% expo. Did the throttle cut, did the flap mix, all that by the book. The flap mix, full flaps is going to be a 15% elevator compensation, and half flap is 7 if I remember correctly. Looks super scale. You pull the battery hatch off from the front, not the rear. It looks like you should be able to grab it from the rear, but do not do that. That's where the tongue and groove is to key it into the fuselage. So it's magnets up at the front. Very cool looking plane. We're about to take it up for its first flight right now. If you're interested in this plane, I've been doing RC for a long time. I really appreciate your support when you click through those affiliate links in the description. That helps tremendously. This is our full time at this point. So if you're not close to RC Fun Park, Hobbytown in Granger or Palm Desert, consider clicking that link if you're shopping for this new hot ticket. Let's go. Thanks, Horizon Hobby. Let's get this up. One thing I wanted to mention, I forgot, when you bind this up, it's already got safe already programmed in. All you simply have to do is flip the gear switch or channel 5 on your transmitter. So note the aileron, and then when I flip into safe, it deflects the aileron to level the plane. So if you're a low time pilot, you're gonna appreciate safe. If you hand launch this, safe is the way to go as well. I definitely suggest you read the manual because there's loads of great information, tips, and tricks in it. Yeah, all right, let's go. Oh, look at that, tail comes up. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of safe. And I love that this has lights all over it. And I'll put an info card in the video where you can see my video of the big one, the 1.5 meter air tractor, which is fantastic. And tossed around a little bit today. I'm gonna go full flap this time. Oh, I like it. Now I'm going to go out to the south a little bit and come at us, nose into the wind. Beauty. Look at that. It looks the part out here too. I mean, this is where you would see the full scale doing its thing, is somewhere like this. So we keep the wings flat and steer a lot of rudder and see what we can do. And this will run on 3S and 2S batteries. If you have the white style plug, there's a simple adapter you can get that'll take you to JST, which is what this plane's ESC is equipped with. And that means if you're sitting around on some 2S or 3S 280s, you'll be good to go. So scale and so small. And before the technology of AS3X, something small like this was actually quite a handful. I think it's just fantastic how now we got safe in, it's going to be even more stable. Oh, wow. That wind's interesting. We're going to get out of the flaps and out of safe. And I'm going to try to speed it up for you guys, but keep it where he can get it. So I know it's out there. 3S 300. How smooth and quiet. Are you getting that okay? There's steep circles right out here in front. Stealth. Just gliding in right now. A little bit of rudder. Oh, that was awesome. AS3X only, no flaps on that touching. Sick. What up, everybody? You should have seen the video by now. What do you think about it? That's a fun one. Can you hear me? What is happening? Everybody, we'll do a little roll call here soon. You guys like my green screen? What's up, Adam Hampton? Yeah, it is nice. You can change the tires. It is. It is. I'll do a little roll call here in a minute. How's everybody doing? You guys flying something? I've been flying a shovel and a lawnmower today. And a T-ball game. Good times. Jeff in Lower Alabama. CVO in the house. Jeff, Cody, Adam Hampton, Smoky Mountain RC. Dad in the house. Brian Chambers, Seth Greenberg. Says he got one through the link in the distro. Thanks so much. Let's see. Yeah, everything's working. Nice. I got mine right next to me. Brian Chambers, if I didn't say that already. Wild Bill. Ken Bird. I'm on early. I go 9 o'clock Eastern time. Most time. But I'll take it. Waiting on your air tractor. And guys, look, check out the video on the big one, the 1.5. It's on the end screen of that video too. Boss flew yesterday. Nice. Boss 223 in the house. Jordan, what's happening? I think your wife just had a birthday or something. Happy birthday. Yeah, you like the green screen deal. Yeah. Sunroom. I'm in the sunroom today. Snow River got lots of flying in. That's what's up. Little triple latte thing. Triple latte. La Colombe. Whatever that is. I think it's Aldi coffees. They're delicious. Tony Spears in the house. It does look nice. That's a good little micro. The landing gear is sturdy. Yeah, and the light. Jeff in Lower Alabama had a young pilot on the Aero Scout hooked for sure. Work has bitten into his boss's flying. Well, that's too bad, man. But that's also how we afford flying, isn't it? You guys thank you so much, Brian Chambers. I got to tell you, the wind was up a little bit, and Qua, who's helping me, is really done is that his third video he's done with me? Micros are tough to film, and so are jets. Memorial Day fly-in soon, Site 3. Victor RC Jets, what up? Nice. I flew the pits that same day, but I tried to film it with my GoPro. It was awful, so it's not going to happen. But I love that little pits, that little biplane. And then yeah, this thing here is bigger than the pits for sure, but very nice. I like it. And I really like the way the 1.5 flew as well. It's surprisingly good at knife edge and things like that. The air tractors are supposed to ship this month, but like every release you see influencers do, they're never available yet. That's always how it goes. It's always how it goes. But sometimes you don't have to wait very long. So it should be this month. Let me take a peek actually and see what it says. Sometimes they get specific. Adam Hampton, I will totally show you how the battery hatch works. Give me just a moment. You still playing music, dude? That's good for the soul, isn't it? Adam Hampton plays some serious gigs. Yes, he does. All right, let me click in here and see what it says for the date, estimated time of arrival, and then we're going to open it up and show Adam the battery hatch and whoever else is interested. Right now, I'm getting on Horizon Hobby. Shop new releases. I just click the link in my description and go right to the product. That's nice too. Earn 3 times points right now till the 26th on this new bird. That's a pretty good deal. URC club members. Let's see, click into this and see. It just says next shipment May 2023. So, I mean, we're in it. That's like 2 more weeks. So, nice. It has a JST connector. And as you can tell from the video, 2S and 3S works pretty good. It will knife edge on 2S, although you already know the power's good on 3S. I mean, if it'll do 3S, that's kind of nice. And probably your plane will come with this thing on it right there. The little diagram, it tells you don't do the battery hatch the way it looks like you can do the battery hatch, right? So honestly, like, I was so glad that graphic was there. And a lot of the micros do pull up from the front. I was flying a 300 3S Seth, but you could fit a 650 in it. But you start to suffer the weight penalty. But you can see, like I said, a lot of these, you see that little nub right here, makes you think that you should be able to grab it right there to do it, but it's from the front. So that tongue and groove part I was talking about that keys in, yeah, and this is just foam. That right there, that piece is just foam. So you don't want to be grabbing it. And then there's magnets on the front and the back, to be honest. And that is it. And you can see it keys in right there with the JST connector. But yeah, you can see why folks would think they could grab it from here if they didn't have a lot of experience. But yeah, that's it. It just magnets, just pull it off from the front. And there's a light in the front too, which is interesting. I haven't seen it at night yet. Brian Chambers, then that's too bad on them then. Check this out, y'all. I guess that's why I read the book and then tell y'all in the intro, what's up. So yeah, 3S or 2S. A lot of you guys are going to have the 280s laying around from some of the old blue batteries that has that white connector on it. You can easily get that adapter and make it work. But yeah, this is it. This is the deal. It looks really good. And there's the strut wires. I couldn't think of what they were called in the video. But if you miss that sticker, I mean, it's right on top of the plane. That's on the customer at that point. But yeah, you might be right, Brian, unfortunately. I was really impressed with how well it tracked on like touch and go, like on the runway, like touch and go style. You know what I mean? It does even have a pilot. Check it out, y'all. And click through, the link in the description of this video or my flight video of this thing will take you right to the website. So, and you can look at all their pictures and, the videos from Horizon on this thing. Let me set this back here on my green screen, fake sofa. There we go. How about it? How about it? Brian, you're hilarious. Landing gear. There used to be an Ultra Micro T28, and it was the old school one with loads of under camber. I think it was around, it might have been around before the AS3X was even a thing on these. What's up, Eddie K? Francis Conti. So CVO just had his maiden on an Avanti, first jet within the last couple of weeks. Congratulations on that. Adam Hampton said I would have for sure grabbed the back. I mean, that's why I say those things. You know what I mean? Because I would have too. Like literally, without that sticker, I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing. Here's Johnny. Olsen Aviation in the house. What's happening? Yeah, yo, check it out. This box. This is production sample, so you will get a box with art on it. But check me out. It's blanco. That's it. That's what we get sometimes. It does have a picture, Brian. Yeah. So the landing gear, it's metal bolted in. I stuffed it in pretty hard a couple times. But I actually have some little tiny Dave Browns that could work on this if I wanted softer tires. These perform fine for me. But, they're just machine, bolts. So, and nylon locker nuts, right? So, like, you could do whatever you wanted to. Whatever you felt like modeling, you could make work on this thing. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Got it repaired today, says CVO. Nice. Jeff in Lower Alabama, what tiger moth was that? You just put out a video, didn't you? On a tiger moth? Which tiger moth was that, man? I saw the thumbnail. It looked good. The Voodoo is nice. And I tell you what, some of these micros, my gosh, they're so well balanced on the motor, you don't even hear them. You don't. The Dynam one, right on. So that's a 50-inch tiger moth. That thing flies good. Those are hard to get now. Hang on to that. The Ultra Micro T28 had beginner, was safe, intermediate, and experienced. Okay, cool. That I don't think it did originally, but maybe it did. Maybe it did. It'd be nice to see another one though now, with a little bit more. I mean, that P47 they had in the Wildcat micros were amazing. I used to not. I think the micros just keep getting better. You know what I mean? And at this point, what I appreciate is how you can fly them at more spots than before. Philip Alonso, what's going on? How are you? Nice. Anything else you want to see on this thing? My shoulder is Deadsville. Bet we see. Eddie K's got a prediction. but we will see Draco Ultra Micro. That'd be awesome. Micro pits. I got the pits in the garage, dude. I love that little thing. I love the big one too. I have not yet flown the 1 meter or the 1.1, the smaller E-flite pits. I've flown the Ultra Micro and the big FMS one, and I like both of those. I don't know what I think yet about the middle one, but it might be good too. I have a feeling that the micro and the big one are easier on the ground to deal with. What's the pilot's name? Squishy. Squishy, Dad. Squishy. Remember Squishy, Pops? Paul McNeil in the house. What up, man? Olson says he flew E-flite Beach 18, FMS P40, F86. Awesome. Tim Toutant in the house. Flew his E-flite Cirrus. Hadn't flown since last September. Felt good to get out. Awesome, dude. 850 millimeters. So that's like 39, 40 inches or something wingspan. Micros are good. And I think it's the price point. 169 is not bad, is it? Was that you, Brian? Where'd that go? Yeah, it is respectable. I'd have to agree. I think it's pretty sweet, especially if you're already sitting on the batteries. You know, you already got a radio. Let's see, this pilot's name. Yeah, we're going with Squishy. Sometimes they'll put a guy in it that looks a lot like Captain Mike or Tom Selleck, but not this one. And he's way better than Squishy. He looks like a Dan to me. Dan E. Squish, I think is what it is. And Gold in the house. Yeah, I hope everybody has a good weekend. I know it's hard for some of us, and Snow says he call him Dusty. That's pretty good. The Squishy thing's an inside joke, though, man. You guys will get this, though. So me and Pops, I don't know if it was me or Dad, named the pilot from the E-flite. Remember the gunfighter, the hand launch Mustang? That pilot was just so ugly and super squishy, and we called him Squishy. Fitting. So that's really for Dad. This is excellent observation, though. He's awful pale for a guy who rides in that plane all day. True that. Wow. An Air Coupe landed out at the field today. Pretty darn neat. No flaps on those either. Did he slip it in? Slaps. Great day at work. Charging batteries for tomorrow. Happy times. That's what's up. Michael Bear in the house. What up? Dan, the crop dusting man. The pilot in the old SE5A was squishy, but at least he looked good. Bro, if you know who Matt Andrin is, the pilot in the SE5 looks like a dead ringer for Matt Andrin, one of the designers at Horizon. I swear they did it on purpose. It was can't slip an Air Coupe. You can't? Not a little? There's no rudder, is there? Is it something goofy like that? Yeah, Brian, you better. Seth, the air tractor does have flaps, yeah. Gary Busey and Matt, yeah. That's what's up. Landed like a pro, says Jeff. Nice. Ailerons and rudder are connected, but they can only move out. Got it. I knew there was something weird about it, but it's neat. It's neat. Is the P silent? I say air coupe. I mean, it wouldn't be air coup, right? That would be funny. Nice. Good stuff, man. What's going on there, Slappy? Says Brian Chambers. Still one of the best flying planes, air coupe. Yeah, so I'm getting it. This episode brought to you by La Colombe coffee, triple latte, bold and creamy. Coupe? No way. Air coupe? Hair toupee? Olsen Aviation's not feeling the micros. That's cool. Got to be honest, hard getting excited about so many ultra microplanes. Loved it when they came out with the Beech 18. I do too. I hope the Beech 18 did good for them because I love Golden Age and Warbirds. You know what I mean? I used to have a clipped wing monocoupe. It was a dog. What's up, Lyndon Stewart? Michael Bear, no, it is definitely not. I never mix rudder with ailerons. Ever. And I'll tell you why. Now, sometimes Horizon will do it in the receiver, like on the Draco. And some of you guys can tell me if there's other planes that they've done that to. I feel like they did it to the Draco because it needs it. Because that airplane is super interesting and has a lot of under camber in the wing. So I think the adverse yaw is probably more of a consideration. And so they mixed in coordinated aileron to rudder mix on the receiver. Personally, I never do it. I only mix flap to elevator, like the books call out for, or some planes don't have a book that's good enough or that calls out for it. And so if I determine that it needs it, then I'll do it. But the reason why I don't mix aileron and rudder, and I know some guys do, but the reason I don't is because if I need it, I'll do it. If I need it, I'll do it. And like, let's just say, for example, I'm putting this plane into a left bank. You don't hold you put it in the bank. You don't keep holding left aileron. Otherwise, you'll just roll it over, right? You put it in the bank and you pull through the turn with the elevator. So if I put in if it's coordinated and I put in a left bank, but I oversteer and I got too much roll and it's doing more, I don't want that. Like a lot of times, once I get in a bank, sometimes I'm giving it opposite aileron to keep from coming over some more. So I don't want to mix in where, like, when I'm in a turn or a steep turn and I give it opposite aileron, now it's throwing the thing into a skid. I'd rather just take what it gives me. And if I need to coordinate, I'll coordinate. So I don't mix it in. Some guys do, um, but not for me. Not for me. And I almost wanted to mix it out on the Draco because things sometimes felt weird, and only because um, what I'm used to. You know what I mean? Oh, neat, Francis. Just learn to use the rudder. Yeah, that's it. Coupled ailerons to rudder on the B25 makes for a better turn. It's fine until you have to give it opposite aileron. You know, if you're in a, I mean that's why I just, if you're good enough to know that you need to be coordinated, then you're good enough to just do it. And that's one of the things too you have to consider, like when you're cranking and banking and you've got a plane, generally the left turn is more coordinated than the right one is, just if you're not even on the rudder. And that's one way that I check my yaw trim too, is I'll put it in a steep turn. Let's say if I'm in a steep left turn and I lose altitude, and then when I crank it and I turn to the right and it's skidding, I know I need to trim it out, but I'm not mixing it. Michael Barry, you like my analogy? In regards to what? Like opposite aileron when you're in these turns, or what? Um, yeah, but Tim, you're right. I mean, I know this, but it's also a model, dude. The power to weight is nuts. You can get, so many of us can easily get away without good rudder practice, good rudder flying. But you can see it in certain planes as it's skidding through and things like this. Or like I say, and part of it's trim and part of it's just these models. Like if I'm cranking and banking, I don't use as much. And like, so here's another good example. Like if I'm doing those shallow turns out in front where I'm trying to keep the plane flat, and it's a left turn, I've got a lot of left rudder in it. I've got a ton of right aileron in it to keep it flat. I don't want to fight anything else. Even though what you input should be, what you on the sticks input should prioritize over the mix, man, just fly it. Just fly it. What's up, Jay Woody? Mixed rudder. Yeah, and in a real plane, you're going to give it a lot of right rudder on a climb out. It's okay. There you go, Jay Woody. Mark Drella, I'm not positive who that is, but says a bit of opposite aileron typically needed in a properly coordinated turn. See, why would you want it mixed then? Not for me. It's okay if it's for you. It totally is, but it's not for me. And that's why. But I do like flap to elevator compensation mixes, or you can also do flight modes, right? And just trim it in for that condition and configuration. This is why we're here, y'all. I mean, this is why you all follow me, is because it's really great to talk about this stuff. And I think a lot of us take some of this for granted, but there's some folks who are like having epiphanies, hearing about it. Because yeah, Tim, you're not wrong. Um, you're not wrong. But it's like if you're able to discern the language of the plane's condition through its flight envelope, then you're good enough to give it the rudder it needs. Oh yeah, I mean that's one thing too, Dad, for sure. I mean you're pulling when you put it in a bank, you're also pulling through with a elevator, but um that's when I'm teaching somebody how to fly, I tell them to put it in a bank. Put it in a left bank, not and that's one thing that's safe is amazing, but you want to get folks off of it as soon as you can because you learn heavy-handed tactics which are not going to be good once you flip it off. You put the plane in the bank and you pull through with the elevator, and if you're really good, you're coordinating and all that stuff, and you can tell you need to coordinate. It's a model, so you don't need to. You're not worried about fuel efficiency or any of that kind of stuff. But it's just the finesse points of flying models, right? It's cool. And the bigger and more scale the thing is, and the slower you're going, I think the more important those things are. But these things really generally power to weight's nuts. But with safe on, you can just put it in a left turn and hold that stick. You can crank that stick all the way to the left. And you have to coordinate on safe unless you want the turn to take forever. But if you learn those heavy-handed tactics, you're going to be in trouble because when safe is off, you realize you only need to put it in the left bank. You may need opposite aileron, and you're going to pull through with your elevator. And if you're really good, you're coordinating with the rudder. But generally, yeah, you put it in the bank, you pull through with the elevator. So you're not holding in left on a turn. That's where new folks get in trouble. And that's where folks who are learning on safe need to be have the discussion with guys like all of you and myself who know what's going on to explain the difference. You know what I mean? What up, Scott Settle? Again, no, for me. You got to do what's right with you. For you, I think if you're good enough to experiment with this stuff, then you can earn the reasons why you think it's a bad idea instead of taking somebody else's word for it. But it's like I don't want to mix. I don't want to mix for anything but flap to elevator. And the reason why I like flap to elevator mixes is because I know what I want my glide slope to be. I know how I want the plane to come in. And, if it's a high wing plane and I dump the flaps and the nose comes way up, I don't want to hold a ton of down stick in it. It seems counterintuitive because when you're landing, you're constantly bleeding it off and pulling the stick back. So to me, it seems really counterintuitive to push down when I'm coming in, because what I want to do is be holding it off. So I love flap to elevator mixes, and a lot of the books call them out now. But yeah, like if I'm doing tricks and stuff, I can't imagine flying upside down and trying to think like, okay, this mix is gonna, like, anytime I roll, the plane is gonna want to go, if I'm inverted, towards the ground. So that means I need even more down pressure inverted. No thanks. No thanks. No thanks. But good questions. I mean, awesome questions, man. Awesome. I hope I'm not being any kind of way. I definitely have strong opinions on this. I don't do it. Michael Baird doesn't mix flap and elevator. You fly a lot of scale RCs though. You build a lot of yours, don't you? Some of these scale ones really need it. I mean, if you're flying a Cessna RC model or any of these high wing things and you dump the flaps and you don't know what to expect, you're going to wreck it because the nose comes up crazy. And like if you're flying a jet, right? Like an F4, you dump the flaps and the nose is coming down like crazy. So yeah, flight modes are wonderful, or mixes. The planes that we're flying have really good books, and I go with what they say. And guys know, like, I mean, I've talked to Eddie K before on the phone. Like when I've had high wing planes that didn't have a flap to elevator call out, I already knew uh, I would do 22% at full flap down compensation, and at half flap I'd do 11. And I do 22 and 11 because it's easy for me to remember. And I do the same thing on a microwave. Like I don't ever put anything in for 30 seconds. It's 33 or it's 22 or it's 11 because I want to be, it's some weird efficiency thing I have. Like I don't want to hunt numbers. It's like 33 is fine. I don't need 30. It's okay. I mean, you start getting up there, right? I mean, it's okay. Right after 60, you're going back to 10 anyway. But I'm not doing 66 seconds. But I'll go 55. Yeah, there's mixes in things. I mean, these guys have tuned these planes to fly well, and they do. You know, you I gotta love that stuff. I mean, the products that come out of there, they haven't done me wrong. You know, I think it would be nice if there was a way to turn off mixes sometimes for guys that don't want them. But I think it's better to default on to err on the side of caution, and that's what they tend to do. Kelly Klein, what up? He says longer deployment really helps. I think he's doing 7-second deployment on the flaps. Mike used to do 9 seconds, and I was like, dude, that's like a whole time and a half around. So I do 2. The book usually calls for 2, and that seems to be pretty good. I mean, most of the time also, like I say, these mixes are good, and I know these planes at this point. So, if on a Cessna 182 that you flew from brand X 5 years ago needed this, the new one from brand Z is probably going to need it too, even if it doesn't call for it. Like if you look at my video from the E-flite F4, I flew it stock and all that, and then I did a video where I did a flap to elevator mix that was not called out for in the manual. And look at the comments section of that video. There's a ton of people thanked me for that. And it was just because it was another F4. I got very familiar with the free wing F4. I knew what it needed. And yeah, so I applied that knowledge to the E-flite one. It is airspeed sensitive, Dad. And like when I'm talking about the set, like let's say big Cessna, and that's why I always call it out, like whatever I notice happens when I drop the flaps, right? So in a Cessna, let's say, if you have no mix at all and you know the nose is going to come up like mad, obviously, if you're going really slow, that's not as much of a problem, right? But it's still helpful. And even if you are going slow, and you're slowing down, it feels more natural to hold back pressure to me. Seth Greenberg, how much down elevator do I mix with flaps? And it depends on the plane. What's up, Micah? Mike Kennedy, what up? Dude, on any high wing plane, if the book doesn't already have call outs for it, literally 22% down elevator compensation with full flaps, 11 on half as a starting point. It also depends on what batteries you use and where you like to put them and those kinds of things. I never say that my way is the only way. I just am showing you what works for me repeatedly, repeatedly over the years. And what I've picked up along the way, being a super fan of the hobby, just like you guys. I'm such a fan. I bought the company. You know what I mean? I'm all in. Mike Kennedy says his 2,000 millimeter beaver on floats uses a 2211 mix. Yeah, it works. It works. And the nice thing about when you nail the mix, even when you're going fast, you might see the whole plane lift up, but the pitch doesn't change, right? Like the angle of attack stays pretty right on, but you'll just the plane gains altitude. That's cool. That's better than coming up like this or down, because if you're I've said this before, like the way I feel about the airflow, I feel like when you're really in the pocket and you're grooving with an airplane, the airflow fits like an isotoner glove, right? You quarterback the Super Bowl. But if you start waffling in the pitch, all of a sudden your airflow is a baggy mitten. And this is where oversteering and all kinds of goofy stuff happens because you're just trying to get back in the groove. And when you're slowing down, making base to final kind of turns and slowing down, trying to land, that's the worst place to be waffling around in the pitch. You want to stay locked in, settled, right? Like that's what I always say. Like, look how it settles. And what I mean by that is like when I get out of the power and let it establish its own glide, it does it very well and predictably and gentle. And before that glide slope starts to get too deep, you'll hear me talk about pouring the power back in a little bit. So, yeah, love it. Good stuff. Boss, you guys, I got you all on the 2211. He's got 2211 on HSD Cessna too. Yeah, man. A bunch of those Hobby Zone high wing things and FMS high wing things that I've done, whether it was a Cessna 182 type or Cub, that's my default. Eddie K knows it too. I remember talking to him about it because some of those books won't call it out. And then you get it ready to fly. The Bigfoot, I did the same thing. That's a Cessna, right? Basically, that Bigfoot from Hobby Zone, great planes over there, by the way. Still do my thing with them. Not so much lately, but I still have the relationship. So if you're shopping Hobby Zone, do that thing. But those, if I remember correctly, those planes didn't really call out for a flap to elevator mix, but I knew what to do. And so I talked about that in all those videos. But I remember doing the Bigfoot. The first one I did was plug and play. And then I got a chance to do the Ready to Fly. The Ready to Fly had no potential to mix out that up pitch. And so I remember it being a windy day and I was able to land that thing almost straight down with no power, because if I had any power in at all, it was flying away. Yeah, Mike Kennedy, it's funny how some planes act. We're not every plane needs a mix. And I don't remember putting a mix on any F-15, whether it was a full flying stab or anything. Yeah. Snow River's getting ready to do Bigfoot. Nice. That's a good one. That's a really good one. It just needs smaller. It just needs softer tires is the only thing. I mean, guys, if you like FMS and E-Flight, you're going to like the Aero stuff. Hello. The biggest P-51 racer in foam, probably the 1.1 if you want the racer. But if you want a bad to the bone P-51, you got to look at the 1.5. It feels really nice. But the 1.2, the Warbird one, I think those are easier to fly. I think most of these guys would agree. The 1.1's a rocket ship, but they're heavier wing loading and they're harder to deal with on the ground. The 1.2 is sweet. Who remembers me just owning the 1.2 in Bama? I mean,
That was a blast. Do I still have that? I think I do. I don't think it got destroyed. Something got destroyed, though. Michael Bear, surprising how many modelers show up with AF CG on a new airplane. Yeah, man. Default to nose heavy. I don't balance any propellers at all, ever. This is an interesting discussion. I mean, honestly, man, on the E-flite stuff, I put the battery like where the straps are usually, or a little bit forward. So I've heard of this one before. I'll tell you what my ultimate CG test is, because I think there's all kinds of ways to test CG. And look, we are not flying cross country where fuel mileage and stress on the tail is a huge deal. So if you really, really want to design and fly the thing on the ragged edge, you want to kind of unload the tail and go with a very balanced CG. Makes the plane very responsive, super responsive. And when you fly it upside down, it's going to take less down pressure and all those things that sound like good CG. But to me, where the rubber meets the road is, especially from my early days, like what happens if I fly too long and I don't have my motor? I still have all the steering, right? But now, if I'm super balanced, my question on I'm going to work backwards. For me, I could give a rip about CG, to be honest. Everyone always asks me, and it's 1/3 max chord. Cheat it a little bit more forward. And if you don't know what 1/3 max chord is, it's the fat part of the wing. It's the fat part of the wing. I always do it up by the fuse. It's the fattest part of the wing, usually where the spar is. And go just a little bit forward of that if I'm like it's a new plane or whatever, and I don't know. Right? So, yeah, the fat part of the wing, for me, is generally going to be right there, pretty close to that 1/3 max chord. But the ultimate test for me on CG is when I am flying and I cut the power, what does it do? And it's not even just CG. This also boils down to how you got your tail trimmed and all these things. How does this thing act when I get out of the power? Does it sink like a brick, or does it drop its tail and put me to work? That to me is all that matters. That's all that matters, is like, how does it come in on approach? What happens when I cut the power? And this comes from, like I say, the days where I was flying, and before me and Dad knew what timers were, we would always fly the damn batteries out. And so I learned pretty quick, and back then I probably was way too nose heavy, and I didn't know I could fly them in. I just glided in everything. I didn't know yet. I didn't know. And Dad saw me bust prop after prop after prop and pop my cows and all kinds of stuff because I was coming in too fast. And then I started really noticing how these guys were doing at Horizon, where they were just nose up, real slow, just dropping these belly landers in and not sliding at all. Dad knows that I'd have stuff. I was trying to make it slide as long as I could. I thought it was cool, but I was always breaking stuff. So I've heard of that one, Eddie, where my CG test is to put the plane in a 45-degree upline with half throttle, roll inverted to see what it does. I've heard of people get it up and then put it in a 45-degree dive to see what it does. The reason why whenever I go upside down, I tell you about how much down pressure I'm giving it, right? Just so you know, so you're not caught by surprise, and take it for whatever you want. If you fly inverted and it's perfectly level flying, if you ask me, you're too tail heavy. Because unless you're flying an aerobatic plane with a symmetrical airfoil, to think that it's going to give you the same kind of flight dynamics inverted as it does right side up is foolish, if you ask me. So unless it's an aerobatic model, I fully expect to be giving it down pressure inverted, unless it's a biplane or like a high wing plane, right? Wrong. What do you mean wrong? Who cares if it's level flying upside down? I mean, you fly upside down more often than you do right side up? Well, and look, everybody do what they want to do. That's why I just tell you what I notice. You take it and run with it. I tell you what I see. It depends on the airfoil. You got dihedral and you have semi-symmetrical airfoils on most of this stuff we're flying. You know what I mean? Honestly, like if I get a plane upside down, if it's a low wing thing or whatever, jets are a little different, you know, for sure. I still expect, for me though, because the way I load the nose, I mean, you guys see me work it out, like a little bit nose heavy, not crazy, but a little bit nose heavy. It's predictable. When you come in for a landing, even if you are dead sticking, it's still going to be predictable. It's going to follow the nose. You know what I mean? And I remember when I first started flying jets, and they were smaller, 3S and 4S stuff, and I didn't know anything. And the jet flew amazing. And then I'm out of the power or out of battery, and it's like, holy crap, the tail's dropping like nuts. I hadn't ever, I just hadn't had any of that kind of experience, right? I mean, I've been flying prop stuff the whole time. And so with a motor in the back and not a very heavy battery up front, the minute you get out of the thrust, the butt would drop big time. And that was something for me to figure out, you know? So that's what got me really thinking about, you know, neutral trim, how I was going to neutral trim elevators and loading the nose up to get the desired character that I wanted, because I have never felt good pushing down stick when I'm coming in for a landing, when my real lessons all told me to hold it off and put the thing in my belly. So yeah. JCB, I just rudder trim by doing a large power loop and see if it moves away or comes in towards me. Yeah. There's a couple ways I look to see if I need rudder trim. I'll put it in I'll crank it left and see what it does. And I'll crank it right and see what it does. Is it skidding? Is it diving? When usually if you pull up an up line, you know too, if you're out. And the thing is, I mean, real planes need right rudder when you're climbing. So like if it needs a little bit of right in an upline, it's not awful. It's almost to be expected. I'll tell you what though, when I know I have a crosswind and it's going to be, let's say I know it's going to be a left rudder correction and a little bit of right aileron, you know, cross control, legit, I will trim in. I will trim in. I already know I need a little left. I will trim in 3 or 4 clicks of left all day. Just to help a little bit. Just to help. Trim for straight and level. Yeah, exactly. I trim for ripping this son of a gun full throttle. Because when you're not full throttle, you already know you're already holding some kind of back pressure or something usually, if you're slower. But like I want to trim mine for ripping. I don't want it climbing. I don't want it diving. Good stuff tonight, y'all. This is the stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Kenny. Micah just took the nose servo out of a belly lander. When I was stalling it to land, the nose popped up. Battery was completely forward, had to add nose weight. Yep. Especially since it already worked for you. If it was a brand new plane that you didn't have prior experience with, I would say almost maybe give yourself a little bit of down elevator at neutral or something. But you already got it figured out. I would replace the weight. Yeah. I hope I didn't miss anything. I could have. See you later, Tim. Snow got to fly a bunch. What's up, Jeeps? You're playing your way, 100%. Hey, it's America. You're allowed to be wrong. It's all right. Yeah, Jay Woody, for sure. Snow River like to ask Kenny how to balance a prop on a show, then come back 8 hours later, see how it's going. Yep. At least by default, right? Until you figure it out. Listen, all those things about flying it inverted, doing 45-degree dives, all the tricks for checking CG. I think that matters more when you're an aerobatic guy. But I think you got to do what's right for you. For me, what's right is how does it act when I get out of the power? Is it still predictable? Does it follow its nose? That's all. It doesn't have to sink like crazy. Nothing. If it's windier out, though, if I'm a little bit nervous, I'm going a little bit more forward on my CG usually. That's just me. Pretty good, Cody. Pretty good. Pretty good. We'll just say. Took the year off the F-18. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, if you're ready for it and you like AFCG, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I remember playing around high alpha style on my MiG-21, and I was always flying the old school, what are those things called? Admiral 5000. And I was like, all right, man. And it was awesome. And I'm like, okay, let me try a 4000 or 4500 in here, one of the new ones, and see if I don't do better with the high alpha. I didn't like it. I liked it better with the heavier pack. I don't know. Something about I was used to holding it up because when it was lighter, for me, it was climbing instead of just staying there in that condition. And then I'm sure that was my fault and I wasn't used to it, but like um I liked it with the heavier pack. And to circle back and touch base on this, like if someone's asking me, I'd save it for flap to elevator. And again, that boils down to the same thing I'm trying to accomplish. Where the rubber meets the road is where we mess the planes up. We don't crash them in the air usually. It's taking off and more often landing. So I set myself up the best I can. I know what I want out of the glide slope and the approach. And so if it's CG, if it's flap to elevator, whatever it is, that's what I'm trying to achieve. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Um, Man, I've had a couple really sweet planes that just felt really good. And so that is what I emulate every time I'm setting one up. Like that felt awesome. That seemed perfect. That's what I'm aiming for. Um, yeah. So there's no one answer, there's no right answer, there's whatever works for you, but I can tell you when you think like that, you end up having consistently well behaved um planes. Yeah. I mean, read the books. A lot of the books will tell you. It depends what you're flying. Not all the books have a flap to elevator mix, but look, if it's a high wing plane, and try this stuff up high. Get used to it, all that stuff. You don't listen, flaps are amazing. They're fun. They actually work. Um, but you don't have to use them. And um, if the plane all of a sudden feels like garbage once you put the flaps in, that's a true indicator that you need to do something. And pay attention. Is it when you put the flaps in, and you can try it up high at speed. Because if you're really slow, you may not notice what it's doing. And if you're high enough to handle the mistake when it happens, you'll be all right. Like if you're up high and you're clipping along, not crazy, but a little bit, and you dump the flaps and your nose goes up like crazy, well, that's a down elevator mix for you. And you can mess with that later. Get down on the ground safely first. And then also while you're up there, try to slow down a bunch and see if it doesn't settle it down enough. If it's still weird and it's wallowing around in the stall, then you're going to have a mess. Trim it down or cut the flaps off, mix it in later. You want a little down. You want a little down, and they'll fly more predictable that way. And it's so much easier because the plane stays in the pocket, the airflow doesn't get broke up, you're not waffling around in the pitch. You're good. Thanks, Kenny. A pretty sick green screen, huh? The sunroom looks way better inside than the work they did outside on it, the siding on it. All right, Adam. See you later. Yep, it is Mother's Day tomorrow, and we're open. I'm going in. I'm going to man it by myself. What's up, Anthony? Mike and D. Petrillo, what up? What plane are we talking about, Seth? What do you got? Yeah, thanks, Kenny. Every house we got basically get the worst one in the neighborhood, and then I fix it up. I've done floors and kitchens in 4 houses over the last 15 years. At the same time, I'm trying to do YouTube and everything else. Yeah, this is not my ideal setup, but you guys know I'm out of the warehouse now. The 70 millimeter Red Hawk EDF. What's that one call for? What's it do when you dump the flaps? I don't remember anymore. Kelly, sure. Absolutely. Free wing. What's it do when you dump the flaps on that one? I don't remember. My guess would be that the nose comes down with the flaps. I can't remember. It's an R, bro. My last name's Ramsey, Kenny. I don't remember. To be honest, I don't remember needing a mix on the Bay Hawks. You guys remember having to do a mix on the BAE Hawks, whether it's the 70 or the 80? I don't think I did one on the 80 at all. The 80 flies really good. Kitchens are a big deal. Sick, Anthony. Thanks. Perfect. And Golden says, hit the like button before you leave. Yeah, the Bayhawk. I don't think that one calls for a mix. But read it. You know, I mean, that's all I'm doing when I fly these things. I'm trying to tell you what I see. You got a mild mix on yours, Jeebs? Down? I mean up. What is it? A mild up mix? Jeebs? I'm curious. If I had to guess, a mild mix is like 2 or 3%. But cannot recall. I never used my book. Writes says, time for use my link in the distro break. Just remember mild. Yeah. I will tell you this, especially the 70 millimeter Bayhawk, and some of you guys might agree with me. I feel like it is, to me, I put it in the same category as like 70 millimeter Vipers and Avantis, where I say commit to the pitch. I call them full bleeders. Commit to the pitch. Don't waffle. Right. Right. Increase the rate of descent without increasing airspeed, but they're able to steepen their angle because of the flaps. So it's slowing it down, even though you don't have to let it slow it down, right? It's funny. Olson says he has no elevator mix for flaps on the 70 millimeter Hawk. Yeah, bring it down, but you're going to hold it off. Like commit to your back pressure and let it all be throttle. All the work, really. Commit to that pitch. and bleed it off the best you can. Because otherwise, if you relax that elevator, you're gonna start bucking it. You're gonna start bucking it. Yeah, Michael Bear. I know exactly what you mean, but it's on GA full scale airplanes. Flaps are not used to slow it down, but to rather increase the rate of descent without increasing airspeed. Yeah, because without the flaps, which are giving you lift and drag, which you're trading altitude for speed, so you're able to what? Keep the same speed but lose altitude without speeding up like crazy, like you would if you didn't have flaps. You'd speed up like nuts if you didn't have. What's up, Newts? If you didn't have them. I love this stuff. I love this stuff. I should work in a business or something. Nuts. George Watts in the house. What up, man? I love it when real pilots are like, yep, that's it, dude. Sick. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was new to this stuff, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't all about flaps. I really like them on stuff, and it's because you can land with what feels way slower. Kenny, yeah. Nuts. What time's it getting to be? Okay. I love it. Dude, the big Carbon Z Cub is awesome, Jay Woody. I like that one a lot too. I like that one a lot. I'm not getting rid of it. I want to put lights on it. Reckham Roy says the 70 millimeter Viper is a sweet ride. Yes. The 90 is too. Yo. Very much so. What's up, EQ? Yeah, those are ones I call full bleeders, like commit to the pitch kind of stuff. I've destroyed a lot of landing gear. Yeah, we all have. We all have. I mean, that's probably how I learned how to land. I got tired of fixing them, And then it started to be where everything I did was on video too. Like, there was a time it wasn't, and then it's like ever since I started making videos about everything I do is. And so, yeah, I'm not trying to smash up landing gear and junk, on video. I've been working for companies who are trying to sell this stuff to, survive. It's a business. And I just love it. So I've always talked through it. You know what I mean? You're like a Dr. Ruth on piloted aircraft. Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah. On full-scale jets, the flaps are usually combined with leading-edge devices to help the airplane take off and land at lower speeds to use less runway. And yeah, the flaps and the leading-edge devices are increasing the wing area and lowering the stall speed so they can. Because otherwise, yeah, the rollout's a million miles, right? The little yellow T-28 could have used flaps. Yeah, and what I would say on a plane the real ones had flaps and stuff. What I would say on a little yellow T-28 like that, if you think it's coming in too fast, that's one of those planes where you do goof with the CG a little bit, move it back, play with it, not go too crazy, but you definitely don't want a lawn dart on that one, like a real heavy nose on that one, especially if there's no real good way to slow it down. You know what I mean? Christmas. Yeah, Steve, you're so late. It's Christmas time. Ho, 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 ho. Slats are tricky. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I learned the hard way too, guys. First time I landed a jet without flaps at touchdown at about 40 and I freak out. I mean, dude, it was Captain Mike who was telling me to push through and put the nose up on these things before I knew jets because I was pretty good at dead sticking warbirds for a long time. And so I'm flying a Mirage and I'm thinking I'm going to dead stick it in. Like it's going so fast by the time I get down, it is not done flying. And then I like, okay, so nose up and push with the throttle. And I got like my first like high alpha landing or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been stuck on that ever since. It's just like, I don't play a lot of golf, but I've played before. And there's a couple times I just hit it perfect. And I remember what it feels like. And so every time I play, that's what I'm going for. That feeling, that swing, that method. And so yeah, once I find something that hits or works for me, I just aim for it with everything. Jim Jumbuka. Let's see. Did they change anything on the new Draco? I heard they fixed the CG. I don't know anything about it. But if CG was a problem, it should be easy to fix ourselves, I would imagine. What's up, Denise? Yeah. And a lot of times I think people want there to be one answer, like a blanket statement that works for flying these things and more landing these things. Like how much power? Well, it depends where you started your descent. It depends on so much. So the thing is to have this tackle box full of tools and utility that you know what to do when you see a condition. So it's like learn how to read the plane. And there's so much good advice out here, especially if you're new to things and you're worried about landing them. You should mock up touch and goes, whether you touch or not. Like you should shoot a bunch of like fake approaches so you're not surprised when it's time to land the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bro, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because I skipped the dog fiddlings out of that Mirage, the first one a long time ago. What's up, Fred Barron? Nice, Seth. That's great. So yeah, you get it right a couple times and you're like, that's what you're aiming for every time. And man, yeah, and that's when I was like, oh, jets are sick. Because jets can be intimidating. You think you got to land them super, super, super fast. You don't. I mean, they're slippery, right? But you can hold the nose off and push through and you can work it out. I mean, most of these jets, I'm able to land them slow enough on that 280 feet of geotex that I don't generally run off into the grass very often. And that's a little bit more flirting with desire than new guys should be doing. I really am trying to see basically how slow I can get them. But that's what's awesome about it. You know what I mean? That's what's awesome about it. What goes up must come down. About to turn fan on. And make sure the wheels are down. Yeah. About an hour and a half of this show. Make sure it's still flying till the wheels touch down. Yeah, and that's an airspeed deal. And also just committing to your configuration. Don't waffle around on your pitch too much. Any word on, you shouldn't have to waffle around on your pitch, because if you're doing it right, you're controlling your descent with the throttle, really. Any word on the F-16 80mm going to be back in stock? I don't know. I imagine it will be for sure. That's an awesome jet. Yeah, it can, Mike. It can slow down quite a bit. Mike Bird in the house, Fred Barron. F-22 can land crazy slow. The F-22 was the only 90mm jet that I'd fly somewhere that wasn't sanctioned. I didn't even care, dude. I'd put that thing down so slow in a parking lot, at a school. That was the problem with the Avani. I did not want to stall and came in super fast. It's a full bleeder. It's a full bleeder. You set your angle of attack not too steep, and just, really just try to maintain. I feel like it's a full bleeder. You want to bring it in on the mains and try to hold that nose off, but it wants to fly, dude. That thing wants to fly. I think steep flaps and plenty of rate on your elevator is what it takes to slow that thing down. It's a great flyer, though. I mean, it really is. Steve says he can't land on anything shorter than a real runway. Yeah, you kind of get spoiled to the conditions you're around, right? If I had a gobs of space, I mean, I probably didn't learn how to slow them down until I got stuck on that 280 feet. Like when I was flying at Muncie all the time, I probably came in hot a lot. Anybody? I don't think anyone's gonna know when the 80mm F-16 is coming back in stock. It's gonna tell you on the website. Let me look. And then you guys are gonna click the link in the description for what you do to go shopping, aren't you? Or you're gonna go to the RC Fun Park in California or Granger. Let's see. E-Flight. Man, I still got so many videos to edit, you guys. Brands. E-Flight. Let me get through this. There's so many fun little ones, man. I really dig the Ultra. Dude, I think they're in stock, aren't they? E-Flight 80mm. It's in stock, dude. The Thunderbirds. Matthew Cox. In stock, F-16 Thunderbirds, 80mm EDF, bind and fly basic with AS3X and Safe Select. And the ARF, and listen, go to the description in this video and click the Horizon Hobby link for me if you're shopping, you guys. Or you can go pilotRyanMedia.com and click Horizon, same thing. Yeah, the Thunderbirds are in stock. So's the ARF Plus. Yep. You're welcome, Matthew. Yeah, those dudes do crazy fun stuff, man. Two Brothers RC just did a new video on Draco V2. He was doing some crazy maneuvers. Yeah, those guys have a good time. C5A Galaxy touches ground at about 90. Dude, I think the T6 stall speed is about 90. Something nuts. You know what I mean? And then the Musketeer, I was taking lessons in. I think it was like 35, 40, something like that. Matthew Cox made in his green Futura today. So awesome. Nice. I like those. It's been a while since I've done one, but boss says he's got an 800-foot runway, uses about a third of it. Nice. 30 feet or less on the Valiant. Oh, thanks, Mike Kennedy. I saw you sent me something. I haven't had a check it out. Just put together a 262 Dynam, no flaps. I'm worried. Mike, on that plane, let me tell you, watch videos of it, and you're going to see the same thing from most of the video people. It actually does fly pretty good, but man, the incidence on that tail must not be right. So that son of a gun, even if you got the nose loaded up, is going to fly like it doesn't weigh anything in the nose. So be ready for the down trim. That thing is going to take off if you're not careful before you're ready. Like the nose, it just wants to fly, it wants to get up, but you gotta let it build its speed up. It flies good, dude. Once you sort it, it really does, man. The gray one, okay, I'll look. Be ready for that. All right. They had another twin engine, did the same thing. The Gloucester Meteor, same thing, dude. Hey, I missed who did the super chat. Fred, thanks, dude. I just saw that. Thank you so much for the super chat, Fred. I don't want to miss things. Let's see. I do want to look it up for Matthew. Let's see. Is there an upgrade EDF for the 80 millimeter E-Flight F-18 Blue Angel? If you want an upgrade that's a bolt-in fit, I would look at the FMS and X-Fly 80 millimeter fans, because they more than likely are gonna. Thank you so much, Fred. They more than likely are gonna drop right in. And anybody else got answers, I mean, throw it at us. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the flaps on that one, because it's a big plane and it's not super heavy. So it's going to slow down pretty good. I just think your only trouble is going to be the pitch. So down trim that son of a gun and load the nose so it flies predictable for you, because you guys can fly if you set them up right, all of you. If you set them up right so they're predictable and they follow their nose without sinking like a brick, you'll be all right. I think what gets guys in trouble is when they get too slow and then you're just in recovery mode. You're not even flying the thing. You're just recovering. So set it up and you'll be all right. Make sure you don't let yourself get surprised by it popping off too soon. Watch all of our videos on it, man. They're out there, dude. Bobby's are too. You'll see if you watch any 262 or Gloucester Meteor videos, they're probably popping up fast. Guys are getting up in the air quicker than they want to. Whether they work it out or not is to another thing. We worked it out because we were ready for it. We had experience with them. Let me see about that gray one, Matthew. Because that's a different story, isn't it? Thunderbirds is there. I'm not sure. Are they still doing the gray one? We have some really good videos of the gray one and the Thunderbirds. Check out the videos here on the channel. It doesn't matter if it's an old video, guys. And the air tractor, you want one right now. You don't want to wait for the little one. They're in stock, the 1.5, and it flies on 3S and 4S, and it's bad to the bone. Got videos on that as well. Trying to find this gray one, dog. Dun 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 dun. That 70 millimeter F-16 is killer too. Super killer. If you're worried about yourself or you're a low time pilot, the 70 millimeter F-16 is the way to go first, to be honest. No dates. Just says back order. Son of a gun. Ah, that stinks. Maybe you might have to get a red, white, and blue one. Seth, I wouldn't count on it, dude, at all. And when they put out new birds, they look just like the old ones. They don't do anything as far as technology really upgrades. It's like one time would you guys sit in the boardroom with any of these other companies' planes and look at it? Until they do that, I'm not interested at all. I know, look, if you're willing to model a little bit, there's some really good flying ones once you get them right. See you later, Noons. Thanks for coming by, man. Hope all's well. Appreciate you guys. So many of you are from the way back, man. You're one of them. Thanks a lot. I've seen you, Noons. You ain't even been flying that long, and you're like all up in the turbines and stuff, man. Love seeing you cats progress through this thing. What's up, Greg Rowland? Man, if you ask me, they've been out of business. There's nothing really new coming from them. They went to one of the shows the other day and just brought old stuff. And this was overseas. Hey guys, let's rally around this one. This is always a good one. Yeah, Matthew. Good luck to you, man. That's a great jet. Great jet. What advice would you give on EDF maiden flights with or without a gyro? All of this really depends on, to me, your Mike, you're totally right. You do need to be willing to model a little bit. Mountain RC, I want to know what your previous, I would always want to know what somebody's, with that question, I would want to know what your prior experience is. That first of all, that's the best way for folks to give you good intel is to know where you're coming from and what jet we're talking about. And I mean, really, grass, all that stuff. But I can be generic about the answer on this, and I'm curious what y'all think. Rick and Roy says set some oh my gosh, where'd it go? Set some low throws, says Rick and Roy. Jim, thanks for your donation there. Thank you so much. Appreciate your commitment to the sport, all you do, Ryan. Thank you so much, Jim. I was able to see that one in time. Thank you. Yeah. If it's an E-flite jet with AS3X already set up, use it. They're rock solid. Definitely. So I want to get back to this. I want to put this guy's question up. Let's see. Man, is it already that far back? It is. Okay. Did he pop back in? Yeah, thank you guys. Mike says no gyro, CG and trim. Yeah, I like what Olson said. If it's E-flite, just go with what's in it. I'm not hearing any more. So the longer I talk, yeah. Well, that isn't why I'm talking, but I mean, this is my job, guys. So yeah, thanks so much. That's why I'm like, dude, if you're gonna buy it anyway, hook it up. It is hard out here. Y'all have no idea. Um, Lyndon, I'm not surprised it struggled to get off grass. Let's see. So Eddie K says he sets up his AS3X on a switch so he can turn it on or off. Very good. Mountain RC. Okay, this is we're honing in on this question now. This is really good. I love it. I love it. All right, so this gives us everything we need to know. And I thought you had been flying. He says, I've flown several different jets. I'm looking to main the 80 millimeter Rafale, wondering if I should use reflex or AS3X receiver. The reflex is fine. However, there's something to be said for being familiar with the equipment. If you already are adept at programming AS3X into your stuff or using those receivers, I say go for it. The reflex is fine. As far as flight character and what to look out for on that one, man, it flies good. Just speed's your friend, but thrust is your friend because you want to land that thing with the nose up, push through with the throttle. Otherwise, you're just going to be too bloody fast, right? So any gyro you want, go for it. I would not use the crow at all. I would definitely watch my video on the Rafale because it's super dope. And I worked hard on it and it's free. And I go through also, there was a lot of scuttlebutt online when I was doing that video from the whole community about the crow. I wouldn't mess with a crow at all. And I experiment with crow and I talk through what it did to me. And I would avoid the crow. You don't need it. With a delta wing like that, man, you just get the nose up and push. I tell you one thing I would do though, and a lot of you guys can attest to this. I have flown multiple different buddies, Rafales. A bunch of them have the RC Geek nozzles that you did. What's up, Dylan? They have the RC Geek. I just got a set when I was in Alabama. I haven't glued them in yet, but I'm gonna. You don't even have to take the old ones off to do it. It's totally cool. What's up, Rogers? RC Aviation in the house. So, bro, get the RC Geek nozzles for the Rafale because when I push around high alpha on my completely stock Rafale, I'm in the power a lot, burning through a lot of electrons, right? But when I fly my buddy's Rafale that has the RC Geek nozzles, bro, you can get so much more efficient flight and power. It's just, I mean, it makes a huge difference having those nozzles. Like I say, if I'm flying my buddies, I'm like half throttle and pushing high alpha like crazy, which is generally a lot of throttle. On my stock one, it's a ton of throttle to push through, and you can just hear it working, but it just sounds so efficient. It's worth it to get those nozzles. But that's a great flying jet. I would watch my videos and listen a little bit, and then watch everybody else's videos too, and watch and listen to the throttle on the landings that look bad and the ones that look good, and hear what's going on. Mike SSI, what's going on? Slaps, thanks for the super chat. Zoom link in the house, guys. This is going to go down here in a little bit. Grab that link if you'd like. and pop into the Zoom later. Tony Spears, see you later. Did I miss anybody's question? I feel like somebody had one, and I didn't get to it. Was it Ron for the Hills? Mountain RC, no worries, dude. Thank you so much for a great question. Love it. The Rafale is awesome. And if you've been flying jets, you'll be good to go. It really is my favorite Delta. I flew the Gripen. I've flown the Mirage. I haven't flown the new Eurofighter, but I flew the old one. One thing, too, about the Rafale is like, man, if you can't see the Rafale, you got problems. It's such a bright paint scheme that it's very easy to keep an eye on it. Do I think reducing the size of the exhaust would help any EDF, like in general? I got to leave that one to the aeronautical engineers. And our buddy Chris Wolf, RC Geek, is one in real life. And because I've seen how his mod benefits that Rafale firsthand, I'm all in. But there's I would assume with Chris there's some serious designing and knowledge going into it, the shape, everything about it. So I think just in general closing them off may or may not help you, but doing it the right way probably will. But I really don't know the answer exactly to that. There's the question. There it is. Hey, thank you, Michael Bear. Thank you, guys. So, thanks, Mike. This is what I was getting at. Futura, there you go, Ron. I haven't flown the new Futura, and you guys should get on FMS's butt. Like, why aren't you sending stuff to me? Come on. What's wrong with you? Because I'm busy enough. I'm not going to grab it unless they send it. I just won't. But I have flown the earlier Futuras, and I think it's a good jet. As far as FMS goes, I like their Futura better than their Avanti, just because it's a little bigger, lighter on the wing loading. Sport jets in general, my top two would be the Viper 90 and the Avanti 80 is pretty sick still, you know. But the Futura is FMS's probably best sport jet. The Scorpion's pretty sweet, but I think the Futura is a little more versatile. And it's new. So the motor is probably sick. You know what I mean? They always seem to save the good stuff for themselves. So yeah, the Futura should be sick. And I mean, the little FMS Avanti is awesome, but again, it's smaller, so heavier wing loading coming in hot. You know what I mean? So the Futura is a really sweet one. Man, y'all are nuts. I'm not going to leave. I can't leave if you keep this up. You guys are crazy town. Thanks, Steve, so much for the super chat, man. You like the green, Mike? I assume that to love the green on the Futura. Yeah, it's pretty loud, man. You ought to be able to see it good. Yeah, I know what you mean. Exactly. I think it wins for most people, dude. For me, low wing loading and plenty of power wins most of the time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whether it's a jet or a prop job. I mean, look, Rogers RC Aviation is flying the dog fiddlings out of one of those little pocket rocket P40s. 980. 980, but built for 4S. It's a tank. It's super heavy. And so it flies amazing, but the ground is hard to it's tough on the ground. The 1450 millimeter version of that same plane from FMS, the FMS P40B model is one of my favorite planes. And when you get it right, it comes in amazing. Comes in amazing. One of my favorite planes to land. Completely different, dude. Completely different than the 980. The 980, you just have to come in so bloody hot. So fast. You know, you guys are killing me today. Holy smokes. We ain't going to get to the Zoom if this is what's happening. Killer Plane says he's feeling rich today. Ken Bird says to Mike, thought you were going green with that live green, LOL. It is a ripper, no doubt. Dad, thanks for the super chat. Holy smokes. It is a ripper. Okay, Olson, I see you. We did some videos on the Futura not too far back there. And Bobby ripped one for a guy in Florida at the Pilot Ryan fly-in one time. And I think his was hopped up. Hopped up. So tell us what plane or planes you want to see come out. Well, I want to see the gray F-16 80 millimeter come out for Matthew so he can pop on that thing. Bro, if I'm just like pipe dream wishing, I want a big foamy T6 and Royal Canadian Air Force scheme. I want a big PT-19 that's got suspension struts. And looks good and actually has airfoil on the tail like it's supposed to. I love the Golden Age stuff. I love the Beechcraft. I'd like to see more stuff like that. Golly. No one asks me that usually. I mean, bro, Carbon Z anything, right? The T-28's amazing. Like, make me a Warbird, any of them that size. You know? Any of them. And fly like they got some gumption. Fast. You know, I want to try a 1.7 Mustang, but I just already feel like I already know the 1.5 is better. There's a balance between this wing loading deal, right? The 1.7, even if it's fast enough, it may be so light on the wing loading, it just doesn't feel like you want it to, like a heavy metal fighter, right? But the 1.5, it's kind of heavy, but not crazy, but it feels like you kind of expect it to, right? Like a heavy metal fighter. It's bad to the bone. You need to have a little skill to handle it. And it's killer. So it's like this middle spot, right? The 1.2 flies amazing. It'll rip, but it's really light. Not a problem. That's beneficial. The 1.7, I think it's going to fly really light, but feel slow, is my guess. But I want to fly one that rips. I remember, and listen, the 1.6 Spitfire that's out there, it's awesome. But it's like, I wanted to paint mine just to make it heavy. But I flew the 1450 millimeter one, both of them 6S. It felt more like a Spitfire should. So like a 1500 millimeter Spitfire, dude, from Horizon or anybody would be sick. The 1600's good, man, but it's too big. It's too light is what I mean. And that's always easy to fix. That thing does fly amazing. The landing gear are great. It's a good one. Big P40, yeah, dude. Big P47, any warbirds. You know what I mean? Um, thank you, Matthew. Um, T6 definitely not a good first warbird. I think P47 and zeros are easier for folks to fly. TBF Avenger, yeah. I mean, Hellcats, Bearcats, those are all good. Michael Bear wants a big Aero Scout. I've heard people say that before, man. Dude, a 1.5 Spitfire would be sick. 1.5 T6. They had a 1.5 T6, but it was 3S and 4S. I think with the T6, we got to stretch it out. Make it 1.7, 1.8. Because, man, that T6 that E-Flight had, believe it or not, even though you'd consider it a 1.2, mine's in the garage, even though you'd consider it a 1.2 class, it was 1.5 in actuality. What else do I want to see? Yeah, Mike, it is good. But I flew the 1450 and it felt better. I always wanted to make mine heavier. Dauntless is a good one too. T-28 is a great first warbird. But we got us a big one of them. You know what I mean? The Focke-Wulf is killer. That feels lighter on the wing than the Mustang. You know what I mean? Jim Jum, dude, that P-51 Red Tail. I want it so bad, dude. But to be honest, I remember the 1450 FMS 4S Mustangs, and I'm like, these are awesome. Not fast enough. And everybody else thought the same thing too. That's why they did the zip tie mod. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna fly. Killer Planes said he could make it heavy for me. Yeah, I know you can. That's all that's the only thing it needs. It's a great bird. It really is. Yeah, but I don't work there, so I don't mess with it. Reckham Roy says his buddy just scored a 1.5 T6. Yeah. The blue and silver originally. That's a neat one. Now that's one of those planes that if you look at its construction methods, you can tell it's not an FMS plane. A lot of the warbirds and jets at Horizon are made at that factory or have been. But that same with the 1.1 Mustang, the 1.1 Trojan, and that 1.5 T6 and the 1.1 P47s E-Flight has, you can look at them. They are not made the same way. They're still cool, but they are not made the same way. So I would love to see a big T6, whatever size, from one of those factories we're more familiar with. Yeah. Hurricane Mike Bird would be killer. I love the old E-Flight Hurricane. What was that? Like a 53-inch wingspan with like a Power 25 in it? That thing was wicked. Wicked. Yep, blue and silver. Yep. That's the one. That's the E-Flight one. But it's got, if you look at the way it's built, it's different. The spars are different. The spars on that T6 are the same way the 1.1 P47 is. That's the old Snorton Bull, and then the green one they re-released. The 1.1 Mustangs. This is the stuff before FMS was making them for them. And I think the Wildcat even too. So it's a different company. Still all right, still good. But yeah, I mean the 1.5 PT19 that's out now is that balsa one, and it's kind of heavy. And I can't remember, man. Oh my gosh, a 2 meter ace T6, bro. It's got to rip. It's got to have some balls though, for sure. It's got to go fast. T6s are very aerobatic and snap roll city with those. You can do so many paint schemes with a T6 too. I tell you, before I die, there's going to be a RCAF one out somewhere. I swear. Those flat fiberglass type of spars, exactly, and that's one of the telltale signs, and also some of the hardware that it's not. And that's okay. It's still good stuff, but it's different. 1.5 PT19. Do real PT19s have flaps? I can't remember. I know they had suspension struts, obviously not retracts. Dude, a Hurricane would be good, and a Hurricane should be big. The Hurricane is one of those where I maybe in a flight mode wouldn't be mad if they did do a mix with Rudder and Aileron. Or Rudder and Elevator. There's quite a down coupling with a Rudder on a Hurricane. Uh, 1.5 PT17 would be awesome. The closest thing we have to that right now is that 1.4 Pitts from FMS, which is amazing. Big 6S biplane, 55-inch wingspan for like 360. Sick. Reckenroyd has changed the tires out on his 1.5 Mustang. Makes a huge difference. A carbon Z P38 would be cool too. The 1600 one is awesome. It's the best foamy one out there right now. But that's one that I want to see a little lighter wing loading on. A P38. But that is the best one out. But yeah, big one would be sick, dude. So sick. I still have mine. No flaps on a full scale 19, Michael Bear. Yep. I kind of thought so. Did they ever put them on any? She says she's paying half. Split with Zell. All right, Steve. Thanks so much. Yeah, take care of them dogs, dude. Take care of them dogs. Sea Fury's a good flying plane. Jeeb says he wants an ultra micro P38. How long before a biplane timber? Boy, you never know. Jim Buka, Sea Furies fly amazing, dude. Split flaps. They need a little bit of down mix with the flaps, and then all of a sudden it's a treat. Anybody know if there is, oh, excuse me, a burner, EDF afterburner out there for the Arrows Marlin 64 millimeter EDF? Anybody know? Everybody says goodnight to Steve and Denise. Later, guys, says Killer Planes. OG status in the house. Rowan's Hanger in the house. What up, man? I'm about to be ending this thing. It's over 2 hours right now. Some of y'all are probably already up in the Zoom. Why would I want a T6, Seth? Is that what you're asking me? World War II advanced trainer. Because they're awesome. I grew up in the backseat of a real one. I can still smell them right now. And they're why I started flying these models in the first place. So for me, the Harvard, the T6, the S&J, the Texan, it's the same name for the same thing. Super special place for me. What's up, Jetman? Rowan's Hanger, you have my gripping? Oh yeah, my thing's been around, dude. Didn't somebody have that at in Bama? You made it? Nice. Snow River says if you want to do an afterburner, you have to swap out the outrunner for an inrunner in the Marlin. I got you. No, talking about afterburner for the Marlin, says Seth. I totally went there for no reason then. I got all up in the feels and everything about that T6, and you were talking about something else completely. All right, Mike and D, see you later. Good to have you back. Good to have you back. Dave Moyer said he picked up afterburners for the Arrows F86 and T33. Sick. About the penny on the AT6 says on approach. What do you mean the penny? About the penny. Yeah, I do too, Craig. Dad do 64 says his dad learned to fly in a Texan and then moved on to the P-51s. Real pilots know that if you could fly a T6, you could fly anything. They are hard. One of those it's North American. I always joke that they come with a ground loop. They do. The T6 and the Mustang, they definitely come with the ground loop. You got to be a little better on a T6. If you fly a T6, you can fly anything. They're wicked. Full-scale pilots would agree. I mean, Mustangs and P-47s and all that stuff is easier to fly than the T6. So if you couldn't make it in the T6, they put you in bombers and stuff. If you could make it in the T6, you went on the fighters because they knew you could fly anything. And this is true. And Grandpa could fly the dog piss out of his real one. Yeah, I mean, bro, literally. So the horsepower in a T6 is like 655 horse, and it throws you back in the seat, and it's harder to fly than a P-47 or a Mustang that's pushing 2,000 horsepower. I mean, come on. Nobody, Seth. Nobody. I mean, even the model's hard to fly. Yeah, you can do it. Honestly, if you have a T6, any of you guys that have the foamy one, you're better off if you do grass. You're better off if you do grass because you won't have to fight the ground loop as bad. Matthew Cox flew his Ranger 1800. Excellent plane. It's a Cessna, right? I mean, they call it a Ranger because they can't call it a Cessna. It's a bloody Cessna. It's amazing. 1800 size is wicked, dude, because you can get along with 4S. They got the Ranger. They got the 1700 millimeter Cub. And then you have the 1800 millimeter Huskies from Hobby Zone. Same construction methods, same factory, different names, excellent products. Roy, you ain't lying. Dad, you know it's true. Spooky good pilot. Yeah, man. I mean, the grass helps you on the ground loop. And the nice thing about the T6 and the Corsair, I hate to lump them together, but the reason why I lump them together, I'll tell you. So the T6 has short gear legs. So eliminates a ton of leverage, and they're way out front near the leading edge of the wing on the T6. So you're not really nosing it over in the grass. And think about a T6, got a real short nose, right? So short, stubby legs. And yeah, they're kind of close, but not really. But they're short and they're raked out there forward. And then the nose isn't very long. So, man, in the grass, you don't really nose it over a bunch. And T6 or Corsair, the legs are long, but they're still way out in the front by the leading edge. So, like, that's a good one on grass. That it surprises you it's good on grass. The T6 surprises you that it's as good on grass as it is. And you look at something like a jug and you're like, yeah, that's going to be good on grass. And the Falk Wolf's good on grass, but dang, those legs are long. So it's like the shorter the legs are, bro, the less likely you are to mess up the gear, right? Or really nose it over. Brian Chambers, a big Sky Raider, has the same kind of landing gear situation, twist and turns coming out there by the leading edge. That would also be, and look at it, right? It's just got a massive fuselage behind the wing and tail. That thing would be amazing on the grass too, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Guys, it's I'm gonna probably dip. Sky Raiders, you know what? I never really liked the looks of them. They got a great history though. I never really liked the looks of them, but I've seen some models of them fly. And dang, they fly good. They fly so good. That it wins. It's a good choice. I never used to like the looks of an F-22, but I love how they fly, right? So, like, same thing. ME-109 and the Spitfire were probably the hardest to land. Yeah, the narrow track, you know. I think the 109 is even harder than the Spitfire. The Spitfire I always expect to be really tough and was always way easier than I thought it was going to be for me. But the 109, even longer nose, longer legs, more narrow, longer fuse, and smaller tail. It's all leverage. So, yeah, the 109 is tougher. I remember being scared to death of the 109, dude. I'm like, Mike, what am I going to do? He's like, dude, treat your landing like a touch and go and you'll be all right. I'm like, okay, that's good advice. And that's what I did. And that's the only way I worked it out. Everybody dip in. See you later, folks. Thanks so much, everybody. But yeah, Spitfire with the narrow track, definitely hard. I think for me, the 109 was harder. The Avios Spitfire, Roy, we were talking about it earlier. Like, it's 6S at 1450 millimeters. I like how it feels on the wing loading better than the 1.6. But I think 1.5, 1.55 would be the sweet spot. The 1.6 is amazing, but it's just kind of so big that it's really light on. My only complaint was it's not heavy enough, but that's an easy problem to fix. All right, boss 223. See you later. Francis kind of, yeah, F-22, huge wing, and the whole fuselage is a lifting body as well. So once again, we're talking about back to wing loading and how it equates to flight character. But yeah, Roy, dude, the 1450 Spitfire flies like a warbird ought to. The 1600 reminds me of Carbon Z stuff, almost too easy, but it was still amazing. Very, very good plane. Very good plane. Keith Wolf, thank you, man. Dad, love you, man. Thanks so much. The Zoom link is in here somewhere. If you pop in an RC Pilots Lounge Facebook group, it's probably right there. Add a heavier pack, yeah. True. Sometimes when you don't think it feels heavy enough, it's telling you need a little down mix. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so that's a thing too. Like if you feel like this thing just won't come down and it's wallowing around in the stall, you can't load the nose enough, no matter what kind of battery you put in it, then give yourself a little bit of down trim or down mix um, with the flaps. I don't have to worry about it anymore though. I got rid of it. But they're both amazing. But yeah, I understand why Roy likes the 1450 because I was surprised. When I flew a 1450, I had I had Mike Kennedy's. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And it was heavy enough that there was no trickery. I didn't have to mix anything down or trim it down or anything else. Mike Bird says the Zoom link is going to be in Spencer's super chat. Yes, that's true. And it should also be, on the Pilots Lounge Facebook group. And I'll probably hop in a little while. I want to get some dinner, to be honest. It's kind of late, but I want something. I wasn't having tater tot casserole tonight. Sorry. I'm cranking in the yard. It's like, I want something else. Beechcraft Bonanza, says Dave Moyer. I'm going way back. Needed those long legs for the massive props. Yeah, Jim Jum. Well, the Corsair had the bent wings to accommodate the prop. Not for anything aerodynamic, which is interesting. And I don't know if it was a Corsair, but I'm pretty sure the P-47 actually in real life had telescopic, like the landing gear would come out and extend down also. Pretty neat. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. I won't keep you. Thanks for all the support today. Appreciate that so much. Check out the videos, guys. You never know what you're going to miss. If you're not subbed up and turn on those notifications, there was a week, not this week, but last week I did 4 videos. I've got, I didn't get done with Alabama stuff. I still have some really cool stuff, a big, awesome, smoky BDX flight from Allie. And then I've got Scott Settles shakedown with Allie on that Aeromaki MB339 Hangar 9 turbine. You know what's up. Seth, thank you, man. Had a great time. This is why we're here, y'all. And this is why I'm here. We don't fall too far. We don't fall too far from the trees we come from, y'all. And some of us just have some killer roots. And there's some fantastic men that I come from. And I got just a speck of the way they see things. And I think it works. We translate it and we spit what I really feel like it's a language, these planes. You can see and discern what they're doing, what they need, and they talk to you. Not in a goofy way, but like you start to read the character and what they need and stuff like that. And once you get vibing like that, you'll be good. You know what I mean? You'll be all right. Flying's hard. You guys are all badass, right? I mean, look, I've been in the hobby for a long time, mostly airplanes, but over the last handful of years, I've paid attention to the surface stuff, been doing surface stuff. You guys are bad to the bone. Not everybody's got the gumption to try flying. You know what I mean? So you guys that are trying it, you guys that are doing it, you're bad to the bone because it's not for everybody. It's a different kind of spooky magic and it's awesome. We're the guys that fly, SRC dudes that fly, are different than all the rest of it. Not to take anything away from any of the rest of it, but it's like, y'all think about what we're doing. Like when you buy a truck or a car or anything like that, you just know you're going to be able to work it out. This airplane stuff, look at the price tag and look what you're putting up in the air. Like y'all are ballers. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of deal. I see it all the time where folks the folks that aren't flying planes, but they're shopping at shops, they look at the planes and they're all like, dang, not all of them, but a lot of them are like, dang, that would be cool, or that would be awesome, or I wish I could do that. But they don't have any experience with it, so they pass it up because they see the price tag and they're like, nope. So y'all are bad to the bone. That's all I got to say. I'm going to bounce. We're out of here. Everybody, thank you so much. I don't know what I'd do without you. We're out here in 5. Hanger Rats forever. We'll 3 you later. Michael Bear, I see you. You're too good to be forgotten. We'll see you next time. Later, y'all. Bye now. Boom.